Hi, everyone. Doing a quick impromptu Facebook Live in light of the important news tonight. This is an important development that Musk has, for no good reason, kicked several journalists off of Twitter. This is super important news, and this is something that I've written about my concern with his authoritarian traits and why I, within the first week after he closed the transaction, stopped tweeting. I want to highlight everyone here, please do not provide content to Twitter. If you want to keep your account up, so be it. I don't think he's going to be there for much longer, but I am imploring everyone to pass the word. Please do not provide content to Twitter. Do not legitimize what Musk is doing. This is super important. You can read my piece on theweeklylist.org, or I've posted it on my page, that I look at Musk and I see an authoritarian. That is exactly what is happening. He is silencing dissent. And the good news is he's not going to be at this platform for long, but the game plan is to stop providing content until he is gone. Now, some major developments, they keep coming. I know I keep saying that, but the major developments keep coming. We talked twice this week already in these sessions about the financial state of things for Twitter. And, as I had mentioned in our conversation yesterday, this is the capitalization at closing. The purchase price was in total $46.5 billion, of which $13 billion was bank debt, $33.5 billion was equity. Of that equity, 7.1 was held by Larry Ellison, Saudi princes, and we don't know who else, and another 26 billion of the money for this purchase is from Musk. As we have discussed, at the time he was forced to close in October, this company that he originally had agreed to buy for $44 billion was worth about half of that. And things have gotten so much worse since then. This company's probably worth something in the range of $15 billion, maybe even less. Maybe the banks barely covers the $13 billion of the bank debt. So what has happened since we spoke last? Musk has sold more Tesla shares to support this company. This is how much money he is out now. The original, we just said the 26 roughly billion that he put in initially. And then remember, he sold just under 4 billion of Tesla stock shortly after he closed for liquidity, reportedly at Twitter. And now we found out earlier this week, he sold another 3.6 billion. So in total, and this is just Twitter alone, this isn't all the losses at Tesla because of how far down. Tesla stock is down 28% since he closed on his transaction. It's down nearly 60% this year alone. The market valuation of Tesla was it 1.2 trillion at the beginning of the year. It's now 500 billion. So he's cut off 60% of the value of this company. Mostly him alone. He's hurting his own company. But this is how much he is out the door. When I say he's lost nearly 100 billion, it's because this and also the value of the remaining shares of Tesla he owns. But I want to explain to you in a very simplistic way how desperate it is of what he's doing. Let me give you an example that you can all understand and relate to. Say you bought a house during the height of things during the pandemic. You were moving out of a city and you wanted to go in the suburbs where you could work remote. And you paid top dollar for that house because everyone was trying to buy houses. You paid $100,000 for that house. And no one, most people, if they buy a house, they borrow money from a bank. They have a bank loan. So say you borrowed, I'm going to throw out a number, you borrowed $60,000 and then 40,000 of your own money you put in to buy this house. Okay? That's sort of like what Musk did. It's called, many of you have heard of leveraged buyouts from the 1980s. What that essentially says is you borrow money because it's cheaper to buy something. It makes financial sense to buy something, like buying a home, if you borrow money. And that's what Musk did. He borrowed money to buy Twitter. Now let's just say you bought your home for $100,000, and we know what's happened since then. Interest rates have gone up. The home market is starting to collapse. Say now your home is worth $75,000. So let me explain to you how stupid what Musk is doing is and you have this $60,000 loan from a bank. What he is essentially doing, say you were in this position and now all of a sudden it's worth so much less. Say it's worth half that. Say it's worth $50,000. And you don't want the bank to foreclose on your house. So what do? You go to your 401k, you take out all of your money now you have a taxable event, but you're just taking out all this money. And you start paying off the loan for this house that's underwater. That's essentially what Musk is doing. He's borrowing money from Tesla. He's liquidating these shares to pay off, reportedly, according to Bloomberg, to lower his interest costs by paying off the bottom tranche of banks' debt. Now we discussed, this is the capital structure within the banks. This lowest tranche, as we've discussed, the banks had asked him, these unsecured bonds, which pay an 11 3/4 coupon, they have asked him if they could have his Tesla stock as collateral, and they would give him a lower interest rate in exchange. But reportedly, according to Bloomberg, what he's going to do instead is try to delever this company, like paying off his own mortgage. It could well be because he is already in default of covenants. We said in the last few episodes that we didn't know what the covenants are because it's not public. Chances are he's already going down that road, that he's already in default. And so rather than try to cure the default, he's prolonging the problem and pouring more money in, and he's going to try to buy out his own loans. This is, I know most of you listening don't have an MBA and we're not in finance. I apologize for Chef drinking water in the background, but this is like financially the most stupid thing I've ever seen. Rather than just biting the bullet and declaring bankruptcy or restructuring, he's basically throwing more money. He's taking what started off as a $26 billion investment and now throwing more of his money in. It is now a $33.4 billion investment. And some of this is going to go to pay out the banks, reportedly. He's trying to pay out the banks rather than be foreclosed on. All he's doing is kicking the can down the road. This company still, whether it has bank debt outstanding or not, remember how we started talking in the beginning here. It was worth $44 billion when he agreed to buy it. At the time he closed, it was worth $20 to $25 billion. It is now worth about $15 billion, say. Probably less tonight after what he did kicking journalists off. He already has this $33 billion now in Twitter. He's got more than twice what this is worth, let alone that he has business partners that have another $7 billion invested alongside him. So this has $40 billion of equity on a company that's worth $15 billion. This is a house of cards waiting to fall. Whether he restructures it or keeps selling Tesla shares, there's pressure now today. Major Tesla shareholders were publicly saying on CNBC, where the board would listen, and telling the board he's got to find another CEO to replace him on Twitter. Or he can't be the CEO of Tesla. He can't do both. And for the first time today in financial world, you started to hear talk that he might lose his position as CEO of Tesla. So things are imploding. And what does this guy do when things start to implode? The same thing we saw with Trump, the same thing we saw with Putin. silence dissent. So today he kicked journalists off. He even closed the Mastodon account on Twitter. Okay, this is how authoritarians react. He's going after this 20-year-old kid in college in Florida who was tracking his plane. You know, it was fine that he makes death threats against, whatever. He makes threats against Fauci and Yael Roth, and they have to vacate their homes and worry about their lives. But when it happens to him, oh, that's a whole other thing. So the bottom line, folks, I must reiterate to you, this is authoritarianism. Do not feed Elon Musk your content. We want to hasten this demise. We want him to lose control of that. The quickest way for that to happen is to let him to continue to unravel, to have his mental breakdown that he's having publicly, to have more advertisers leave, and to have what is the dynamic that's happening with Tesla, with the board, which I am sure is behind the scenes because the board from Tesla is hearing from all their major shareholders, tell him to stop. He is ruining the value of Tesla. Along with it, his bad reputation is spreading to be our bad reputation. So things are coming together super quickly. But we cannot support by giving our voice to someone who is an authoritarian. Cannot do that. So if you have an addiction to it, please, I am asking you, post here on Facebook, post on IG, post on any of the other platforms. It will not be long before he is gone from Twitter. Twitter is not going away. Musk Twitter is going away. This company will either be bankrupt, it will be restructured, or he will just have so much pressure because of how much money he personally has lost and how much money the Tesla shareholders have lost with this little adventure of his, that he'll be forced to walk away. When that happens, there will be new ownership. The new ownership, whoever they are, is watching what is happening and seeing this fail. So we don't know who it will be, whether it will be a private equity fund. We don't know who they would put in as a manager, but it would not be bedlam like it is now, or it will fail. So again, Twitter is not going away. Companies go bankrupt all the time. Macy's was, many of you shop at Macy's. Macy's is bankrupt. United Airlines has been bankrupt. Many major names that you like go shopping at or you buy your stuff from have at some point been bankrupt. Doesn't mean the company goes away necessarily. A lot of times it just means new owners, new operators. So please pass the word. Thank you. My birthday's tomorrow. I'm going to take, not a day of silence, please, just do not tweet at all. Do not. The only thing that differentiates Musk Twitter from Trump Social and Parler and all the other worthless platforms is your content. Normal people, good, regular folks, not the far-right crazies that are inhabiting these other platforms. You being there as the foil is the only thing that gives this platform any value. Do not give it to him. So I'll take a couple of questions and then we're going to call it a night. But I just want to reiterate, it's not a public company. That's right. It's a private company. You are just enriching Elon Musk if you are providing content. You don't have to get rid of Twitter. Just do not provide content. If you can, don't even click and open the app. It's not going to be long now. Do you think there's any chance that Putin is paying him? No, Putin doesn't have the money. It's the same, read my piece, it's the same set of circumstances of being surrounded by a small circle of yes people. No, but Putin is not behind this. And this is not some brilliant, break things. And there is no Twitter 2.0. He can't even get the paid subscription up. Apple doesn't even have it in his store. Why would he run into the ground? A lot of you keep asking me he had some grand plan. He didn't have any grand plan. He, on a whim, agreed to buy this in April for $44 billion when he was worth $300 billion at that point. At this point, he's worth half of that. He had a lot more money. He was erratic back then. He didn't want to close. He tried to walk on the deal. He was forced to close. He had no grand plan. And now it's all ego. And the, Musk bros who are financially really unsophisticated and stupid, it's the emperor has no clothes. He does not want to reveal that was born with billions of dollars in his pocket, or he wouldn't be where he is now. That's all. It's all coming, it's the same thing as Trump. People like that do not like to be seen. I don't know if he's smart or not. He might be smart enough. Tesla was not his vision. It was two guys' vision, and he bought the company. So whatever. What's the Peter principle kind of thing? How long do you think it will be before Musk Twitter is gone? It's happening a lot more quickly than I thought it would. I think if he hadn't sold these Tesla shares, it probably would be before the end of the year that the banks would have started to put him into default. I think he probably sold those shares to either put the company back into some sort of covenant compliance or to pay off the bank loans. So he's just prolonging the eventual. He is winging it. He has no idea what he is doing. And he's going to feel a lot more pressure from Tesla, from the board. When he loses Twitter, will the board and Tesla want him back? Yeah, I think the board as is very loyal to him, but nothing is forever. And if the stock continues to perform how it's performing, not so much. And he's alienating half of the base that would buy his product. How incredibly stupid. Any of you that thinks this guy's a big, disruptor and genius, half of the people in this country who buy your product, you're alienating them. How can anyone think that this is smart? This is just a megalomaniac out of control. And he's so out of control tonight, what he did, kicking off these journalists. No way, folks. We all have to get off. All right, I'll take 1 to 2 more questions. Rich doesn't equal smart. No, we know that from Donald Trump and all the bankruptcies. He was born a billionaire. Yeah, that's, and his success at SpaceX is reportedly because they keep him away. Isn't, it's already gone several, he's not paying the rent. I can't remember who said it's not Twitter, it's Squatter. He's not paying rent. He's not paying severance. He's not paying vendors because there's no cash. That's why he had to sell these Tesla shares. But this thing is coming apart quickly. Called in, do you think it will happen? I'm sorry, I missed that question. Surprise the board. I'm sure the board is having emergency meetings. I'm sure they're calling him. Yeah, I'm sure he is feeling the pressure because that's all over the world in finance. And when the biggest shareholders get on CNBC and start speaking out to tell him to stop, he's hearing about it. It's just he doesn't listen to anyone. Who else does that remind you of? Trump and Putin. You're losing your provocation in Ukraine. You have to stop. But if I stop, I look like I'm stupid, so I'm just going to threaten nuclear war. Or if I'm Musk, I'm just going to kick everyone off who disagrees with me. So, yeah. Okay, one more question. If anyone has one more question, and then we're going to call it a night. It is karma. He's failed up as far as he can fail up. So everyone, good night. Remember, just please spread the word. Tell folks we're almost at the goal line. Will not be long now. Please stop providing him content and legitimizing this platform. Thank you so much. Good night.